Hi guys, great to meet you. Sorry, there was a little bit of StreamYard issues with Facebook because of the new authentication. Um, you may not recognize me. I am intern Brennan, clean shaven face. So sorry that you have to see this. I know it's always a bit jarring. But today we are doing Charlie's and Coffee a little bit earlier. We wanted to make sure that we could include more people. So I wanted to spend today talking a little bit about some of the exciting things with the company, and then we'll jump into some really cool ways that you can start to use the platform. I think the new UI is really cool, but it starts to really get fluid with the types of things that you want to do. If you're trying to say take a big piece of content, turn it into a bunch of different pieces, if you're trying to use research capabilities, a whole bunch of really cool things that I want to show you from that. But first and foremost, you saw it in the group. We have Stanford Research Institute as part of our team now. They are the people that made Siri. That's pretty incredible. But they've been around for 75 years. They've been building innovative technology forever. And we are so excited to have them aboard. They have developed technology that sent people to the moon, that is in pretty much every one of your devices. It's in automobiles, bedrock of current internet, and obviously Siri, that is now used by Apple. So they were developers and researchers that are going to add firepower to our already very ambitious roadmap. And we hope that that will create even more magical product experiences for you. The two things that we will be focusing on, one is creating a multimodal model, so adding text and images. So right now in the platform, the way that it works is there's a bunch of different models talking to one another to ingest text and images and audio and video and all of that. We want to be able to do one model that can ingest all of that, but then also produce all of that. So as you imagine, that's a rather hard feat, but we have the technical capabilities as a technical know-how and now the partners to help us get there. The second piece, we are working with them to build what are called adapters. So adapters are, think of this as like little packages of data that you can customize the model with without having to alter the underlying model. Now, what does that mean for you from a product experience? Effectively, you can give a bunch of data, and that's your secure data package, and it can talk with the model, but it's ultimately not going to change the underlying model. So think, if many people have thought about fine tuning is super expensive. We're going to give you a way that you can create a brand voice at the individual level in a much more rich experience than what you're going to be able to find in any other platform. So that's going to be really cool. I think both of those things set us up to be the de facto AI for marketing content, but that's up to you guys to decide. Another important point to note is that the new version of Charlie is going to be getting deployed over the next 5 days. That will be available in the playground to all of you. But then we are also going to be releasing a capability for you to invite friends. So you will get 5 invites. Make sure you spend them wisely. But those will be used to invite people to the playground to play with the world's first LLM built for marketing. And let me tell you guys, the next model that we have is lights out. Croesus and Despina have been hitting it out of the park already, and Charlie's new capabilities are even better. So we can't wait for you to see that. We're already beating Chat GPT and GPT-4 by significant margins with the first model, and the second model is even better. So with that, let's jump right into it. So we're going to show you a little bit of how this new UI can enable new workflows. So first and foremost, let's pull this up. All right. We got the infinity grid now. Okay, cool. So this is content repurposing, obviously many people's favorite features. So a couple things that you can start to note here. One is you have the homepage, but let's go into our documents, right? So we go into our documents. So now we have this document here. We've built this this article. Let's do a new document. So this is AI creativity, which you can alter all of your project names here. Remember, that then goes back into the content library. But let's say we want to create a new document under this tool. So let's say that we've already summarized the conversation that we've had. So this is a conversation we had with Forbes about AI creativity, about the future of AI. And so this was a video that we uploaded. Content repurposing gave us this output, and we thought this was super interesting. So we want to use it to create our own capabilities. So what we do is we just copy it here. We can paste it into the text content window. We're going to be expanding the content window to be more than 5,000 characters, but for ease of this demonstration, let's just take half of it. So now we have that. We already have a summary outline. So we've created this. Why don't we just go ahead and create some LinkedIn thought leadership? Because why not? This is what we want to be able to do. We're trying to establish authority by creating content across a bunch of different platforms using the same core message. So I've now taken an audio file, turned it into a summary outline, and now I'm feeding that back through into the thought leadership engine. And so Charlie is taking each one of those subsections identified in the summary outline and developing a post for each one of them. A really cool way that you can start to see that this new UI allows you to feed things back through. For instance, you could do the social media wizard and create some individual posts. And maybe you like one of those posts and you want to expand it into a blog article. You could do that. You can go from long to short or short to long. You could even eventually use images and audio files to seed an entire campaign. We think that the future of content isn't going to be creating millions of pieces of content. It's going to be taking one piece of content and telling that story across a bunch of different pieces. So what you'll see here is that Charlie is coming back with all of our LinkedIn posts. This is really great. They're actually very authoritative. Maybe you don't like that it's a little bit smaller here. So what you can do is just expand it out. You can read it this way. Be like, okay, I like all of those. Let's go ahead, pull that into the documents. I close this pane. Boom. Now they are all here. Now, let's say that you liked that content, but you wanted to do a blog post. So let's go back to our inputs. We have the same text input here. We have the same outputs here. Maybe let's delete this part that talks about summary. Boom. And let's just jam out. So we go here, go to blog, we press fetch, and we're now creating a blog from the same piece of content. So think we had an audio file. We're creating a blog post for it. We're also creating a LinkedIn post for it. All of that's going to be able to link back to the original piece of content. All of this is a really great way that you can just tell the same story in unique and new ways using Charlie to optimize for the platform you're posting to, optimize for the target audience, optimize for the topic that you're talking about. All of this is a really great way for you to be able to create a lot of content using that one seeded message that you're trying to communicate to your users. Now that's going to take a little bit longer to create the blog, but let's think about another way that we could do this. So let's say that we are establishing our marketing expertise for our audience. Many of you guys are expert marketers, but you want to talk about what's hot, what's new, what's trending. So you can actually use Charlie the Assistant as your way to research. So I want to talk about the top 5 marketing trends in 2023. Boom, Charlie goes and researches it, comes back with 5 different options. I like all of these topics. So what do? I go here, then I go back into content repurposing. Sorry, I made some dogs holding lightsabers for May the 4th, and I delete all those. Here's my text that I'm copying in. And now I can go create a blog. I can go create thought leadership. I can even create Facebook campaigns. Again, my audience is mostly on LinkedIn, but maybe someone wants to be on Twitter. And so we use this. And from there, you're able to use the research assistant into content repurposing, into thought leadership posts, and create blogs as well. So this is still running. Blogs take a little bit longer, especially when they're considering brand voice. But what we want you to be able to do is create all sorts of content using the assistant, content repurposing, as well as your own writing or raw text from websites, YouTube URLs, audio or video files, all to create one thing. Now, let's say that we like all these Twitter posts. Let's bring them into here. So boom, create this, press this, content scoring, and you now have content scoring accessible through the platform in a much more rich way. So the scoring is over here. This is your overall score, and then these are all your sub scores. Now, if you remember, there's a bunch of different categories. So you can actually pop this out. It will give you an idea of what each of these scores actually means as you hover over them. And so you can gamify them. So again, content score is really great for you to grade all of the things that you are creating, make sure that you're including calls to action, make sure that you're delivering in a direct voice, and even making sure that your readability is of a appropriate level. So more technical articles will likely be less readable, but will resonate more with a technical audience. So this is just some really interesting ways that you can go from having one piece of content into a whole bunch of different other ones. So now we've created this blog that we like. So now we're copying it in. Now we have a blog as well as LinkedIn thought leadership across all these different capabilities and all this content that you've already created. So if I'm an agency or if I'm someone providing marketing services, I may have previously been providing SEO, but now Charlie's going to enable you to create a social media offering because you're taking the same content and turning it into social media posts based on the platform that you're performing on, based on the ghostwriting that you want to do. So this is a really interesting way that you're not only expanding the types of ways you can create content, but if you are an agency, you can create content or new service offerings using Charlie's workflows that make it like that to be able to go from blog post to social media or even audio video file or rich multimedia content into any one of these formats and capabilities. So we hope that you enjoy using the UI. I think the more that you play with it, the more interesting its capabilities become. But we can't wait to see what you guys are creating with it. And do let us know if you have any comments. With that, I'll go back to questions. Yes, Dan, I agree with you. Possum sauce. No more prompt anxiety. The stress and panic you feel when hitting your 3-hour prompt limit. Symptoms include panic, sweating, difficulty. Yeah, exactly. Like, to be honest, folks, like prompt engineering is a really cool thing to do. But if I think about like the onboarding the masses, like no one really wants to learn to prompt engineer. There's forward thinkers that will, but for me, I try to think about how do I get to where I want to go in the least amount of work using AI as my collaborative partner. That's why we have the blog wizard to research and bring topics in. That's why we have the assistant to help you research and keep factual content based. That's why we have the social media capabilities in a way that adheres to your voice. We want you to give us the seedings of the idea, and Charlie does the heavy level work, and then you can be a reviewer. That's where I think that this technology is super powerful. And eventually, it helps you create ideas, it helps you create strategies, and it even bounces ideas back and forth with you. I was able to use it to help grade different landing page topics that I was looking at. So there's a lot of different ways you can use the platform, and it's ever expanding in its capabilities. So completely agree. I just popped into people's feeds. Nice work. The dog keeps on barking magic. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I guess one more point that I wanted to address. I know that there's a bunch of people that are pissed off about a certain other tool getting rid of their early first users. I think at various points we've had contentious points with our first users, but I think we always strive to make it a good situation. So if you have people that are a little bit upset with our robot friend, then bring them on over to the platform. We would love to have them. I think we are equivalent in terms of capabilities. I think the tool is pretty much even. I think we have a much more rich multimedia experience. And I think that we are just a cuter AI. So I hope that, people want to come over here, people try the tool, people are excited about it. There's more to come. But this is a great opportunity. I think there's some great competition going on. And I think their indication that brand voice was this big deal is just an affirmation that we're on the right path here. So we hope to continue delivering awesome experiences to you, and I think we have every plan to do so. So with that, I'll call it today. Thanks everybody for joining.